Hi, I'm Brian for the Lincolnwood Library, here today to talk to you about making a resume online with Google Documents. You can do this on just about any device. I am on a desktop computer, and this class is intended for anybody who is looking to switch jobs or to get a new job, anybody who needs to spruce up your resume. And a great way to do that for free is with Google Documents. There are dedicated Google Documents apps, but on a desktop computer like this one, you may use a web browser like Google Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge or Apple Safari to get to Google Docs. So I've got my web browser open here, and it went by default to Google. And a lot of times we just search, of course, but at the top in the upper right, there is sign in. And there's also a grid of dots for all sorts of Google apps, including Google Drive, which includes Google Documents. So if I go to Google Drive, it shows what it is. It is kind of Google's competitor for Microsoft Office and other typing and productivity software. You see they have versions on different devices, and they have all sorts of different features, including document creation. So if you press Go to Drive, it takes you to a Google sign-in. And if you have a Gmail account, you are all set. You would just log in with that, whatever your address is, and you would press next and sign in with your account. But if you don't have an account, you can create an account for yourself, and then you would follow through these prompts to make your account. Give yourself a first name and a last name. Pick your username, which is also your Gmail email address, and then make a password. So you'll want to actually document your password instead of my typing vomit. So you can hit show password, and it would show you the password as you type it, so you can make sure to get it right twice. I always recommend to people when creating accounts, write down the information that you create and store it somewhere safe that very few people have access to. So you would go through and make your account. When you are finished, it may take you to Gmail or to Google Drive, but wherever you are in your Google account, there is usually this 9 grid button, and you can click on that and go to Google Drive. I'm going to sign in to my account now to show you that, and then we'll get into Google Docs and make a resume. All right, so here is my Google Drive, and you can see it lists recent documents and everything I've made in Google Drive, along with different activity and all sorts of different options, the ability to switch between Google apps. But what we are here for today is making new content. You see in the upper left, there is a new button, and I can go to Google Docs. There is a right arrow which gives us options, but I want to first show you just a blank Google Doc. So I click through on that, and it takes me to the Google Doc. This is a live preview. What I see is what I'm going to get when I print or save this document. I can give the document a title. Again, my name is Brian, and I'm just going to say my name, resume. So you type that in and click away. This is the name, the way you'll be able to find your document, the name you'll be able to find it under in your Google Drive. You can see the document status. The cloud checkmark means it has saved. And as you type, you see it's working on saving it to Google's system. So they log every keystroke you do, and you can always undo something if you change your mind, if something happens that's bad. If you lose your internet connection, these changes will stop being saved. I'll delete that and show you some other things before we get into making a resume. There are most of your buttons at the top. There's undo and redo, ABC spelling and grammar check. You can zoom in and out. And there are all sorts of controls for messing with the text that will show you later. There are also file menus, just like most programs have. Under File, you can download your document. So if you need to share with someone else that doesn't use Google Docs, you can download as a Microsoft Word doc and a whole bunch of other formats. When you're done, the PDF format is very important. PDFs are impossible, basically, to modify accidentally. So if you produce your resume or cover letter as a PDF and you like the way it looks when you view it in a PDF viewer program, you can know for certain that the people you send it to will be able to see it in the same way. They'll be able to view it nicely. You can go through the version history and make changes. You can go back to a previous version. If you need to, just delete and start over. And you can move it to a different folder within your Google Drive. You can also connect with Print and Print Preview. And I don't have anything here, but it would show my document for me. I'll get out of the Print Preview by pressing Close Preview. There are menus with standard options like pasting and cut and copy. You can show or hide the ruler in the View menu. There's all sorts of different things. You can insert images and headers and footers and page numbers. You can do columns and all sorts of advanced formatting. And you can see a word count, and there's the ability to have extra add-ons that add extra functionality. And there is a help menu. So you can click into the document and start typing. Return enters down lines, and you can move down and type out your resume. Now you can make a just 100% custom resume like this. That will require a little more knowledge. But if I go back to my drive and go to New, then the arrow, there are templates. So you could change your mind from here and go to a blank document, but you can see templates, which is what we are going to focus on today. There are letters you could use for a cover letter, and there are all sorts of different resumes. There are kind of advanced resumes with multiple columns. I'm going to go first to a kind of one column, nice resume. So I click on that and it opens up. Now, Google in these Google Docs resume templates includes a lot of things that you might need. And you see they are also using color in this resume. You probably don't want to stand out. You don't want to be the resume that printed funny. So you probably want to remove color. So I can highlight. And anytime you are unfamiliar with a button in Google Docs or many computer programs, you can hover over something and it will describe that button in most cases. So this is the button for text color. And you see when I highlight this text, it changes to that color that it is. So I can click on this, see options, and go to black. And I'll just do the same thing, highlight, click, black for these other areas where there is color that I do not want. Now, I know I'm going pretty quickly. Feel free to pause the video by clicking on it or hitting your space bar. And you can do this on a different screen or go kind of behind your window to practice. So that's how you can change the color of text. Now, you can also, delete anything that you don't want. I don't think I want hello. I'd rather want that line. So if you like one of these templates, you could very simply fill it out with your information. And typically people want to know where you are coming from in your resume. I'll just use the library's address. There is suggested formatting like all uppercase for the city, but I'm going to use lowercase. And the state abbreviation and the zip code. And then the phone number as well. Now you see here, it has an email address. If I hit space after it, it automatically formats an email address with the standard color and underline formatting. I can undo to remove that formatting if I want to keep my document without any color. I'll delete that and put one of the library's general email numbers. So again, if I were to hit space after this, it would color it. I can undo and just move away to get rid of that. If I hit enter also, it adds that, but I can undo. There is also automatic formatting for web addresses. So for example, I can put the library's website, lincolnwoodlibrary.org. So again, if I hit space, it formats it. I could undo and then just click down and go to the next section. So you see they have a skills section and an awards section. You could change any of these section names. Maybe I want to have a goals statement. But again, in your resume, you only want to include something that you think will help you. So if you don't have a specific goal, you can just remove a section. But I will just add it back by pressing undo. And I can say, I look to gain employment full time in blank industry. A lot of times you want goal statements to be kind of more specific and more targeted, kind of showing more drive than this. So this is a pretty good functional resume. It has experience, so I could put down my experience here. Now you could copy, paste, so highlight, Control C, or edit, copy, go down beneath it, and you just hit enter twice to get out of a bullet list, and then edit, paste. And it's just telling me keyboard shortcuts, and I have to use the keyboard shortcut Control V to paste that. So if you have multiple jobs, more than they list, you can have as many as you need. You can also remove as many. So I will just highlight 3 and backspace. So then you can put as much or as little information about a job as you want, although if it is a job you've been at for a long time that represents a lot of your experience that you're looking to market to a potential employer, you probably want to err on the side of more. So I'll just say that I started at the Lincolnwood Library in July of 2015 to the present. That's not true. It's just an example. Company name, Lincolnwood Library District. Now, in some cases, the name of the employer might make it pretty obvious where the location is, but you could also have the opposite situation where the name of the company doesn't make the location obvious. And you also don't have to include a location. This is just an example. But I will say Lincolnwood, Illinois. Job title, librarian. Then underneath that, these are the things that you did in the job. So I will say teaching technology classes, selecting fiction and non-fiction, helping library customers. You again want to put more. You can use full sentences. And you see when I made that typo there is autocorrect, which is really helpful. And again, if you have a web address, it will automatically format it, but you can undo to remove that formatting. So you can include or not something like education, and I'll just say that I was in college from 2011 to 2015. That's not true, but it's just an example. I'll say the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana. And you can describe your degree. You can say if you had a minor or a specialization. And you can say anything that distinguishes you, that makes you a better candidate. And again, if you have awards that you want to say that you had, you can include those too. This is just an example. Now, this is a pretty good start, but there's a lot that I could do with this still. I could modify a template. So first, of course, since I have space, I can make my name bigger. So you can highlight, and you can use automatic formatting, or you can manually, maybe I want a different font. I can change to a different font, but I'll undo that. And you can change the size of text. So you highlight the text and press your plus button, or you can just highlight and type in a font size that you like, 24, a little bit bigger. Now you see when I highlight this, bold is highlighted. I could undo that and I can see what that looks like, but I actually like it bold. I can italicize it. I don't like that. I can underline it. I do like that. And again, the text color. If you have a printer that is almost out of ink, you can use gray, and it may be readable and it will use less ink. But I'm just going to switch that back to black. Now, if you ever have formatting that has gotten really weird and you kind of want to start over, you can highlight and go to Format and Clear Format, and it goes back to normal. So if you just want to kind of start over again. You probably won't use this on a resume, but you can do a highlight. This is great for note-taking. And you can undo. And if you want to manually insert a link, you can highlight something and hit the link button, and it may figure it out for you. Or it will pull up a prompt, and Google even suggests different things that may be relevant. But you could type in the web address and hit apply. But you might want to undo. So that is text formatting. It's really helpful to make sure that you have what you want. Now you can also align your text. It is left aligned currently. I could right align or center align. For this longer text, I could do a double justify where it makes sure that it fits the whole width, but I actually don't like that, so I'll left align it. Now down here, we have a whole bunch of extra space between lines. That is controlled in the line spacing. And right now it's on prevent single lines. I really do just want single spaces. So I can keep lines together. And this formatting is a little awkward, but you can use Shift Enter to make sure that lines stay very close together in certain situations. So if a template like this gives you trouble, you might be able to get around its peculiarities like that. Now I'll click down here and click Enter. You can go beneath the content that was put in the template by default. And you can start a bullet list. Maybe I have multiple other awards, but this is just an example here. So when you hit enter, it continues in a list. You can hit tab to do a sublist within a list, enter, and then shift and tab to go back to a lower level of a list, and enter twice to get out of a list. And all of that works the same for numbered lists as well. Thing 1, thing 2, thing 2A, 2B, thing C. So if you do need a numbered list, maybe there were different tasks at a job in order, you can do that in a Google document. Works very similarly to the way it works in Microsoft Word. I can highlight that though and delete. Maybe I want to add back that skills section, but instead of it was at the top here for goal, I could put it at the bottom beneath awards. So I have to highlight and copy, Control C or Command C, and then Control V or Command V to paste it. And I can change it to skills. So this is a great example of something that is good for a bullet list. I can say reference interviewing, helping people out around the library, technology troubleshooting. Hopefully you think that a skill of mine is teaching technology classes. And I'll just add Google Drive for fun. So you could do as many skills as you like. Again, you want to keep everything on your resume relevant to the job. Put your best face forward, the relevant face that will help you out. And that face, of course, includes formatting. I showed center aligning my name before, but you can do that for multiple lines as well. And that is a decent looking resume. So if I go to File and Print Preview, it shows me exactly what the resume will look like in a print preview, and I can close that. Now I can also go to download. Remember, if you are applying on a job website like Indeed.com, along with maddeningly typing in this information into their custom forms, you often have to upload your resume. And to do that, you want to have it ready in advance. And most websites accept PDF documents. So I can press PDF, and it is asking me here to open it up in my PDF reader program. So I will click that. You usually will want to save the file and be very careful to note where it is being saved to so that you can pull it up easily. But in this case, I just want to show you that it works in Adobe PDF. So I click through, and there we go. It opens the resume up in the PDF viewer. Adobe Acrobat is a great free PDF viewer. Most computers have some PDF viewer built in. Most web browsers also have PDF viewers built in. Google Chrome has a great PDF viewer, and you'll be able to view your resume as the person that receives it would be able to. So you know that you would be producing a good resume that will put your best foot forward. So I'll press the X to get out of that. And there are a few more tricks that I want to show you. Now, my resume here is pretty small, but you might need to be cramming in more content into a small amount of space. It's kind of an open debate if a resume should be 1 page or if it can be 2 pages. Same thing for cover letters. But you can mess with the format of the document in Page Setup. You can change the margin. So it's got a very big left and right margin. So I can switch that to 1 inch and 1 inch. And maybe the top and bottom to 0.5 in a standard 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper, and hit OK. And then you see it moved all the content closer in to the upper left corner as I would expect. So there is a bunch more room for me to put more content into my resume. So I'll go back to Drive, New, and show you one of the other templates, the kind of more advanced template with a column. So this one, I like the formatting, again, except for the color. So the first thing I would do in this is to remove the color. There we go. So again, you want to enter in more information. Now, this one is formatted with a kind of cell table layout. And you can do things like put a border around that particular area. And sometimes when you are using different controls in Google Documents, you see that the controls up here change. They change on the fly depending on what you need. So border color is blank. If I want it to be black, I can click on this now and also change the border to an actual width and get a border around that section. But it might actually make more sense to put a border around this section on the right, this box here. So there are all sorts of things you can do with a resume format template in Google Documents, in Google Drive. You'll want to experiment. There are help menus in Google Docs that actually are really pretty helpful. You can search through and learn more. Now, the last template I want to show you is one that you could use for a cover letter. So here is kind of a simple letter format. And these templates sometimes add funny things like lines. You can click and delete things. Now, above your document, the top and beneath it at the bottom, kind of all the way toward the top or all the way toward the bottom, there is the ability to create a header. So maybe on a resume, you would put your name in the header, especially if you have a multiple page resume, and it would appear on every page. And there are all sorts of different options. You can make sure that all of the headers are the same by unclicking this different first page and then type in what you want all of the headers to be. You can go to options and see other options, including removing the header entirely. To get into the header, again, we double clicked like all the way toward the top. To get out of it, I just double click beneath it. You can do the same thing at the bottom for the footer. And often you want to put the page number. So you can go to option and page number. It gives you some options. Make sure if you want it on the first page or not, and then hit apply. And again, to get out of this, double click above. Again, I don't like this colored text. I can remove it. So for a cover letter, you may or may not want to include this kind of very formal address for you and for them. You could do things like put it in the header to save space. You may or may not also want to include the date. So today is and I could send it to the Lincolnwood Library. And then you could start typing out your letter. Now you could highlight and mess again with the line spacing. You see it's a super odd custom. You can go down to single to really cram it in. And you can do things like mess with the font, although 11 or 12 are usually standard. You can modify the margin by simply dragging the lines as well, along with going into file and page setup. If you have an image of your signature, you can go to insert and image and upload from your computer or other sources to put in a picture. So that's how you can use a letter template to type out a letter. You'll want to take your time, of course, with the main body content, but Google does a good job picking a normal looking font, although you may want to use something like Times New Roman or Arial or Calibri, never Comic Sans, and probably not any of the other kind of fun looking fonts for a document like a cover letter or a resume. So you can star things to make them show up more easily in your Google Drive. And I'll just retitle this letter example. You may not be able to finish your letter or resume in one go. You could log back in to your Google Drive, and if you hit star, you can go to your star and find the content that you were looking for. But you might also have to search. So I could go to search my drive and say resume. And I have a whole bunch of different resumes I've worked on in the past, but these two here are the ones that I have been working on today. And I could click through and see it. I could do the same thing for that cover letter. I could do a search and pull up the content that I was working on and resume working on it. You can see previews of things that you have been working on recently and simply double click them to open them up. But you can also use the search at the top and the search tools to find what you have been working on in your Google Drive. And when you just start with Google Drive, you won't have too much in here, so it will be easier to find things. But as you use it, you'll have more content in your Google Drive, and you may need to search. So in my resume here, if I've opened it up twice, I can see where in my other browser I was. I can also hit share and share it with someone else if I am looking for feedback. I would just need to know their email address. So that is Google Drive and creating a resume. If you have any more questions, Lincolnwood residents can reach out to us. Give us a call at 847-677-5277. Or email us, or go to our website, lincolnwoodlibrary.org. And if you have your library card, you can also do one-on-one technology lessons. We could tutor you individually. But making a resume is something a lot of people need to do, and you can use the free Google Documents within Google Drive to do it. So thanks for watching this technology class. We hope that you have learned a lot and that you'll be able to use what we talked about today to write a cover letter or to make a resume that will get you your next job.